How to prepare at a Western horse show. To succeed at school, you prepare to put in the hard yards and do the best that you can do. Horse riding and showing is no different. If you take your time, prepare and have fun, you will not only succeed at what you are doing, but you will have fun. And that's what horse riding is all about. To help you prepare for your first or 31st show, use these steps as a guide to design your own guide for preparation for your own shows. Steps. 1. Arrive on time or early. Get to the show well in advance of your first class. Even better, arrive at the show before the first event is scheduled to start, so if any classes are scratched, there will be no chance of you missing your first class. 2. Make sure you and your horse are comfortable. Provide your horse with a small bucket of water and breakfast if you were not able to feed him prior to putting him in the trailer. If your horse is blanketed, remove any top layers and only leave the blanket closest to his coat. This will allow him to become familiar with the temperature at the show and he won't get a cold back. Keep travel boots on him to prevent his lower legs from becoming stained. 3. Check your entries before you start grooming your horse or getting dressed. This will allow you to check for any scratches or any changes to the program and you will get an idea of how long until your first and subsequent classes. If there have been a few scratches, note what classes you may need to hurry your preparation time. However, if they are few and far between, then you may only need to button up on your horse. 4. Check your patterns. At smaller shows, they may often post the patterns and workouts in the morning, however, at larger shows you may get them prior to the day of the show or in a goodie bag. Make sure all your patterns are there. If you are missing a pattern, go straight to the entry secretary and ask about your patterns. If in doubt, ask anyway. Some patterns may be used for multiple classes, but make sure that you can count the appropriate number of patterns for the number of pattern classes you have. Usually these pattern classes include showmanship. Hack may be given to you during class. Hunt seat equitation. Western equitation. Western horsemanship. Trail. 5. Tack up your horse in the appropriate show gear. If it's a halter class, put your halter on your horse and use the nylon halter and a lead over the show halter to secure your horse to either the horse float while waiting or you can wait along ringside holding your horse. Do the same for English and Western, ensuring you have enough time to do a warm-up and to do a safety gear check. Even if the club or show doesn't do them, make sure that you do one. 6. Dress yourself. Get ready for the appropriate classes. Each class has different outfits, from jodhpurs for English to show pants and chaps for Western, as well as halter jackets and spurs for riding. The worst thing is trying to look for the missing spur right before your class. By making sure it's all there ready, either in boxes labeled for each class, or in a box for each type of item, clothing, boots, spurs, etc., it will make it easier and far less stressful. 7. Check your horse's tack by ensuring the saddle is on correctly and that all leather that is flat on horse is indeed flat. Run a hand flat along your horse's side or face, ensuring that the hair won't pinch. When mounted, check your girth, and if you are not sure about gear checking, either ask someone to check the main things for you or make sure you have it cleared up prior to the show. 8. Study your patterns. Make sure that you only study the pattern of your next class. If you begin studying more than one pattern, you may get confused and mix your patterns up. Make sure you understand the key or legend and ensure that all direction changes are accounted for. If there is a problem with a pattern, either speak to a fellow competitor and if they too are confused, go higher, perhaps to the secretary or the judge. If the problem is with the pattern, an announcement will be made. Some judges may make a mistake, whereas some judges use different terminology for movements. Clarify this prior to entering the ring, because once you're in there, you cannot ask for assistance. 9. Warm up before you begin practicing your patterns. You don't want to give your horse an excuse to misbehave. Generally start at a walk and do a few large circles of walk, then trot, and then, if you have time, a canter or a lope. Be sure to watch what direction or where others are going, and only go the speed the steward allows you to. Some shows only allow a jog or trot as the fastest pace in a warm-up ring for safety reasons. 10. Practice your patterns. If you have time to practice your patterns, make sure you only study the first few patterns. If you have halter in the morning, only study the halter events. Usually the show will have a break before any other styles of riding, so you will have time to practice the other English and Western events. Begin with reading the pattern, and imagine how the workout would look. At home you would have practiced circles and changes of direction, so all you have to do is put them together. All patterns begin with a walk, so begin walking your horse. When the pattern asks for a trot or a jog, pick up the right diagonal, if in English and pattern says to rise. If you are required to halt, rein back or pivot, make sure you practice these too. Most of the time, the walk, trot, jog, canter and lope are easy, but ensure you practice any directional changes, rein back, pivots and halts. Take note of the direction for any of these. A 360-degree pivot to the right means a full spin or yield. Check your forehand and hind pivots. 11. Ensure that you have a bottle of water handy for between classes. Dehydration doesn't help you, your horse, or your memory. Most of the time you can buy a bottle of water at the show, but it's always best to bring your own from home. Try freezing it overnight if the show is during the spring or summertime. This way, you will be ensured of a refreshing cold drink. If it's in the colder months, perhaps take a bottle of tap water that is not frozen, or even take a flask with tea or hot chocolate. Coffee is not the best thing unless you really need it to wake up. 12. Ride your patterns with confidence. Try not to watch a lot of riders prior to your go. At times you may get confused as they may be doing a more advanced pattern. Other times, they may be doing the same pattern as you but may have done it wrong and therefore may make you doubt your practice session. Go with what you have practiced, and if for some reason you have not gotten it right this time, try again and learn from your mistakes. 13. Repeat step 4 and make sure after each clash you have a drink of water. Not too much, or your stomach makes horrible sounds when you trot, but enough to replenish yourself. Make sure that you also provide your horse with small sips of water after a few classes and at lunch and any breaks. Only feed small amounts of food unless it's a lunch break. And only provide less than half a bucket right before a class. Make sure you also eat when you get the chance. Keeping your fluids up, as well as keeping your stomach fed, keeps your memory active. 14. Smile, breathe and have fun. Showing isn't about winning or losing, but it's about completing personal achievements and having a good time riding and showing. Tips. Take a piece of paper and a pen to copy patterns to practice at home and at the show. Doing this, you won't be clogging the notice board. Make it your world, don't let a small thing ruin it. If you mess up a pattern, move on, it's just a show. Concentrate on your next class. Warnings. Always obey arena rules and listen to stewards, ringmasters, and judges. Don't hog the patterns if they are on a notice board, others will need to study them too.